Well, you're welcome back, and it's time for us to delve deep into the newspapers for this morning.
Yeah.
Mama V, I haven't commented yet on your rather cute little number. It makes you look a bit like Sarafina.
I know, right?
I very much like.
It's a school day, so it's okay if I look like a schoolgirl.
Indeed.
Besides,
indeed.
I love it.
In that case, permission to look like a headmaster.
Yeah, let's do the papers.
Sure, let's do that. Where do you want to start? Daily Graphic?
Yeah, Daily Graphic.
Oh, well, I feel like singing.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Like,
yes.
what's the occasion?
Well, you know, I've got a headline that is inspiring.
Is there a chorus in the
lyrical...
graphic?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's hear you.
Will you sing with
Your
me?
voice must be good, though. It's too early.
She's coming home. Coming home. Nayeli is coming home. Let the rain wash away all the cocaine.
Is this
of
home, though,
yesterday.
for her?
Sorry?
Is this home for her?
Actually, she's rescinded her Ghanaian citizenship, renounced her Ghanaian citizenship. So maybe she'll get a visa and come by and, you know, check out her kingdom. Her kingdom
so she's
awaits.
out, right?
She's out. She's out. She's been out for a couple of days now.
Wow.
You remember the details, right? She pleaded guilty to carrying 12.5 kilograms of cocaine. If you think about it, your entire allowance for British Airways luggage is 23 kilograms, right? Per bag. Yeah, she was carrying more than half of that
Oh, wow.
in cocaine.
Wow. That was
Yeah.
a lot, actually.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't know, the sentencing has been rather short. Sounds?
Well, the sentence was 8 years. But you know, if you exhibit good behavior and demonstrate reform, you can be released early.
Okay. So in her case, this is what has happened.
I guess, you know, so maybe she's a changed woman, a new woman, ready to
I saw
sell
a picture, though. There was a
tomatoes
picture,
now.
you know, trending. Was it really her out? Is that
I
how
don't
she
know.
looked? There was a picture that
don't
I
know.
saw. Somebody posted on a certain platform that I saw.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, it looked very much like the Nayeli we knew from the pictures, you know,
That we
the
had
first
seen
time
previously.
around. Yes, indeed. Different hair, maybe, but yeah.
Okay.
So maybe she'll be interested in doing some other business now rather than trafficking drugs. Presbyter dies after alleged sex act. Yeah. That's on page 20, so you know I'm going straight there. A presbyter. I'm guessing a presbyter is some sort of profession, is it? Or just a member of the Presbyterian Church? I wonder. But a presbyter, 60-year-old elder of the Ascension Congregation of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana in Koforidua, was found dead in a room hours after he had lodged into a guest house at Abuabo near Nkrakan in the eastern region last Tuesday. Now, the man, whose name has been given as William Osai Ansa, is a treasurer of the church, and he is said to have lodged into the Sususeme guest house. Now, there's a catchy name. He lodged in at about 9:30 a.m. with a 40-year-old woman who is also a member of the church. And according to the police, information they'd received so far indicated that hours after they lodged into the guest house, the woman who was in the man's company rushed to the front desk to report that the man had become unresponsive. And then, of course, the Eastern Regional Police Public Relations Officer has been telling us a lot more about those details. But tragic death there.
Yeah,
Of,
I tried to
elder of
ask
the church.
Google for presbyter. Google says an elder or minister of the Christian church. So that's an elder
not
of a
necessarily
church.
the Presbyterian church, but any elder of a Christian church can be referred to as a presbyter.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
But he didn't.
also,
Okay, no.
I was contracted
I was
to
going
kill.
to ask something,
Oh,
but
go ahead.
no.
No, I think you should.
No. I think it's not
You-
good.
you
so
ask
I'm
the
not.
best
I'm
questions,
not. No, I
Mama
don't. I don't.
Don't be like that. Anyway, I'll try and get that from you later. But I was contracted to kill JB, accused. Of course, this is the story that started on the airwaves yesterday. Shocking revelation there.
Well, not exactly, especially because the gentleman who is standing trial. Well, the trial proper has not begun. He's noted to have said a lot of things in the past. But of course, this is the first time he said something like this.
Yeah, I guess that's where I'm getting the shock from. Not necessarily that I'm surprised he's fingering people and naming conspirators.
He raises his hands a lot in court to want to say something, and they allow him to.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a lot to share. Well, that case continues. But I guess that's really it for the Daily Graphic. I mean, the big story really is Nayeli's return. You remember when they auctioned off her stuff?
Yeah. We know that her mother objected to some of the things because she said she owned some. I'm not sure exactly where we are with that case. And we also know some of the. You remember some of the chairs that were given out?
Yes.
Some of the recipients actually really didn't know what they were going to because they were too plush for what they did.
Just didn't fit in with their rather ordinary decor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe we should check on those organizations that received these items to see how
they worked.
They've used the items.
There was a chair that was shaped like a set of lips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where would you put that?
I can see that in the CEO's office.
Let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On the front page of the Times, missing doctor's body found, and this is a story that started really from Monday nights. A lot of us got to know about it on Tuesday. The search was on particularly by her husband. This is a 32-year-old doctor who was missing, essentially drowned, and then her body was found yesterday. But if you listen to her husband, I mean, it's an ordeal that you never want to be involved in. You don't want to be anywhere close to a situation like that. Our hearts go out to him. He's got a 15-month-old baby with this doctor who's deceased now. That story is on page 18. You might want to read. But Joseph Akable was on this beat for us, bringing us up to speed and you know, when the body was found, really. So if you followed our stories, but I really can't believe it. So late Dr. Aya Hayfron is on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and there are a lot of people who know her, either went to school with her, worked with her, went to church with her. And there's a friend of mine who said, she was my childhood friend. I popped champagne at her wedding, and I can't believe she's no more. So it's really, 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 really sad. Really.
Indeed.
Really. I was hired to kill JB Dankwa. Accused confesses in court. Kujo has already touched on it. But what we don't know is what effect this so-called confession will have on the case that's ongoing. Because if it's a trial proper, then it has to be at the High Court. Case is still at the Magistrate Courts. So we really don't know what to make of this. But Daniel Esiedu, one of the two men accused of murdering a former member of parliament for Abuakwa North, Joseph Wache Dankwa Edu, yesterday confessed before the Accra District Magistrate Court that he was sent by some persons in the New Patriotic Party to kill the lawmaker. He said while in detention, one of the alleged sponsors visited him and asked him to pretend it was the National Democratic Congress who assigned him to kill the late legislator. In his voluntary confession, the accused, who is facing 3 counts of murder, conspiracy to commit robbery, and robbery, said, quotes, "My lord, I want the world and this country to know that I have committed a crime," unquote. When the presiding magistrate, Ms. Aritz Nsemo, asked if the confession was induced or voluntary, Esiedu responded in the affirmative and added that, quotes, "I am a truthful person, so I am speaking the truth," unquote. So the judge asked Esiedu, who also known as Sexy Dondon, to mediate on his confession before the next adjournment on July.
Meditate, I think.
Is it meditate?
Well, it should be.
Oh, meditate. I made a mistake. Apologies. Before the next adjournment on July 26. She told the accused that prosecution would forward his statement to the AG, which would be added to the bill of indictment and presented to the court. So, but you know, the other person who's standing, who's also
the accomplice,
been accused,
I suppose.
Exactly. Then said, the dude has confessed, so it makes me a free man. Like I didn't murder the man. Yeah. So we
you
wait
asked
to see.
You asked an important question, didn't you, about what effect this will have on the trial?
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll have any effect on the actual charges that have been leveled against the two. It could, I suppose, especially the other one, the non-sexy Dono.
Yeah.
But again, this just makes him less of a reliable witness, doesn't it? You know, he keeps saying different things.
Well,
and if there are inconsistencies, I don't know whether the prosecution will be taking advantage of that when they finally get started.
The very little knowledge, I am pretending to know a little about murder trials. You know, if somebody, criminal trials, if you accuse somebody of murder, it is you, the person. So in this case, it's the prosecutor that must prove
That's right.
how he did it. So really, it really doesn't matter what he says. What matters is what the prosecutor is able to prove, I
Yes.
guess. Anybody can correct me. But details of that story is in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. It's on page 15. Back to the front page. 10 entities get 1.3 million Ghana cedis grant. The story is on page 16. You can read about which entities the paper is talking about. But witness denies describing Major Mahama as armed robber. Also another story, and Malian soldiers implicated after mass grave found. All these stories in the Ghanaian Times. Back page, Ronaldo bundles Morocco out. All eyes on Messi as Argentina clash with Croatia. The comparison between Ronaldo and Messi just won't stop. Some people say, listen, Messi is compared to the likes of Pele and Maradona, whilst Ronaldo is compared to Messi. So who's the king here?
I see where they're going with this. Yeah, I've got to say I'm a Messi fan, a massive Messi fan.
Yeah.
I can see the talent of Cristiano Ronaldo. It's obvious, isn't it? He's a great footballer.
Yeah.
But there's something about Messi. Maybe it's the fact that I can't quite explain how he does what he does. You know, you can't quite explain it. 1 minute he's in front of you as a defender, the next minute he's gone past you.
He's a team player, I think.
You can't figure out how he did it. Yeah, but well, look, God makes only a few of these amazing.
But I hear
athletes.
Ronaldo does well with pressure. I don't know, but I think it's too like a one-man kind of thing with me with Ronaldo. So I like Messi too.
Ah, well, there you go then.
I like the whole team spirit thing. Yeah.
Okay. Shall I tell you about the Daily Guide?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, doctor's body recovered from Peshi Lagoon. You know, this is the tragic event that happened. Well, yesterday is when they found the body, but of course the floods were on Monday night. EC boss must go, petitioners submit, and the Daily Guide seeks to give some information that they say they have gleaned from the ongoing in-camera proceedings into the EC matter. They insist that the EC boss is being pressurized by the petitioners to exit following accusations and allegations of illegal payments, breaches of procurement law, and gross misconduct, which triggered their impeachment proceedings and could lead to the removal of the EC chairperson, who is still, you know, at post doing her job every day. Okay, doctors, oh, I've told you that already.
I mean, are they even working? I think the whole thing with the EC, and it's been dragged, that's the thing. A lot of, even the political parties have talked about it. I remember the Daily Graphic making it an agenda, and every week, I don't know for how long, consistently, bringing us stories concerning the EC and how work seemed to have stalled, and some political parties concerned that the calendar may be disrupted. But we don't know. We still don't know where we are.
Indeed, although we are yet to test the readiness of the EC in these times. You know, we need some election, some event somewhere big enough to require.
They haven't been able to meet. Will they be able to carry out some kind of operation?
I think in the end it'll all depend on systems. You know, you don't have to like each other to work together. And if you have a system that works, then whatever the task, you should be able to accomplish.
But if they haven't been able to meet as commissioners, then I wonder how they'll be able to carry something on the ground.
Maybe they have a WhatsApp platform.
Well.
All right, incorruptible claim. Mahama is a big joke. NPP fires Joyce Mokhtari. I really wish I could take a seat with party communicators and advise them to stop calling their flag bearers incorruptible. Nobody in this world is incorruptible. Every person under certain circumstances
what's the definition
can
of
be
that?
corrupted.
What's the definition of
Incorruptible?
that? Yeah.
Human beings cannot be corrupted, but that's not true. No human is incorruptible.
Well, that's what you say. What
No,
if somebody else has a different thinks? I think that I am not. It's not up to you
Well, it
to say.
doesn't-
It's up to me to say.
Well, the reality of
I know
corrupting
myself
a
better than
person-
you do.
The reality of corrupting a person is that you simply make them do something they don't want to do for private gain, either yours or theirs, or both. Okay? That's how you corrupt a person. So how can someone announce in advance that they cannot be corrupted?
Because
no
they know
one can
themselves.
make them do something they don't
Because
want
they
to
know
do.
themselves.
No, but it's not about what you know about yourself.
Well,
it's
they
about
know
the
that they're not.
it's
They've been
about
tried and tested. What's your problem?
Unless you've been in every situation in the world.
What's your
you are-
problem?
I don't have
They
a problem.
faced a few and they've been able to withstand it.
Yes, they just
Yeah.
haven't faced the one that would corrupt them. But anyway, rather than debating back and forth whether they are corruptible or incorruptible, they simply shouldn't sell it as a message, because it's inherently dishonest.
Maybe.
I'd rather hear leaders.
Maybe
say,
it works. Listen, in the AM News, there was the Deputy Shraj Commissioner, Richard Kwesing, who said that politicians will say a lot of things to make it look like, yeah, really, they want to fight corruption. But it's just something that they just say.
Exactly. So I don't want to hear President Akufo-Addo say I'm incorruptible. I don't want to hear President Mahama say I'm incorruptible. I don't believe them. What I want to hear them say is that I will set up a system so that whether I'm corruptible or not, I cannot take advantage of it for myself or my friends. That everything I do will be for the people of Ghana. That's what I would like to hear a politician say, rather than try to convince me that nothing can corrupt them. That honestly is a failed venture from the very beginning. But anyway, there's detail. The unprovoked attacks, according to the Daily Guide newspaper, by former President John Dramani Mahama through his spokeswoman, Joyce Mokhtari, on President Akufo-Addo have attracted the attention of the NPP. Ruling party, in a statement issued and signed by the Acting General Secretary John Mbwedu, said that Mahama, rather than Akufo-Addo being incorruptible, we find this as perhaps the biggest joke of the century that will see every Ghanaian laughing. Well, we started laughing the moment the first of you started calling yourselves incorruptible. All right then. There's a lot on the sports pages as well. We are expecting FIFA tomorrow here in Ghana.
Today, Thursday.
Well, actually, this newspaper says tomorrow.
Okay. Because the
but I
information
thought it was supposed to be
Thursday.
today. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, maybe someone forgot to change a date in a story they wrote yesterday, right? It's possible. Kujofianu calls for early Congress. We know that already, don't we, Galka? SIC pledges support for golf. Ramadan Cup gets ash foam and Macdan boost. Macdan is sponsoring a lot of sports activities in Ghana. There you go then. Oh, there was a fake weather warning yesterday, which has been immortalized in a cartoon, in an Akosia cartoon.
But listen, it could be true, because what they do really, it's what they see, what their radars pick up. So if there is a storm coming from Nigeria to Ghana, it's a warning. It may happen or may not, but they have to tell you, there are high chances of. That's how they say the thing. So why do we hold it against them? Well, the meteorological services actually came out with a statement. I saw a statement. I don't know if we corroborated it, but I saw a statement that is purported to have been signed by the meteorologist on duty, who said, look, I've seen this warning going around that there's a storm coming from Nigeria. Please, it's not true. It's not accurate. There's going to be some rain perhaps in the western part of the southwestern part of the country as a result of a development that is forming currently above Nigeria, but it's not going to be a massive storm. Oh, okay. I didn't see that statement. I saw that late last night. Okay, but where have they been? I mean, we've had rains in the past. Monday nights, we didn't get any warning. No. Whether it was going to happen or not. No. I mean, but they are able to tell us when it's not going to happen. But when it's going to happen, it's not always a very clear... Oh, my God. Let's do the New Crusading Guide newspaper up next. Front page of the paper, Lands Commission boss sacked. That story is on page 3. Also, Ghanaians perish in Togolese prisons. And then NLA VAG seal deal. But first, let's talk about the Lands Commission boss who's been sacked. Says President Akufo-Addo has asked the director of the Lands Commission, Dr. Wilfred Enimo Odame, to proceed on leave. Dr. Enimo Odame has also been directed to hand over to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, and proceed to collect any terminal benefits or facilities due him. His contract is expected to end on July 14, 2018, but a letter signed by Mr. Peter Amewu informed Dr. Enimo Odame that the President of the Republic of Ghana is not in a position to renew your contract as Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission for another term. So this was part of the statement, really. That's it. Meanwhile, Alhaji Suleimana Mahama, former Chief Director of the Lands Ministry, has been asked to act in the interim. And I always say that when people who occupy such positions are asked to step aside, it would be good to hear why. Because if you look at what Dr. Enimo Odame brings on board, I mean, on paper, he is a professional who is supposed to be occupying that position. So to ask him to proceed on leave, you need to tell us, has he done something? I mean, like, what hasn't he been able to do so that, because if you look at the kind of qualifications that he brings on board, he's no politician from what I read. He's a member of the International Federation of Surveyors, American Real Estate Society, and the African Real Estate Society. He's also a fellow of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors and a member of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. School qualification, I mean, it's like a tall list.
Oh, could it be, and it's happened before, could it be that they are actually seeking for him to leave so that they can bring in a politician?
Wow.
Yeah, could be. All
right.
Although, you know, interestingly, I don't know if you saw the statement that was issued, or not the statement, the letter that leaked. There was a letter written to him.
Asking him to step. I know that he's been asked to, initially he was asked to go and then they called him back. Yeah.
This time around, what they're saying is that the ministry is unable to renew his contract. And so they would like him to proceed on leave. But the curious thing is that his contract doesn't lapse until the end of July.
Yeah,
but they want
July 14.
July 14, thank you. So, but they want him to go on leave immediately.
Yeah.
So there is a reason why they basically do not want him there, because why would they remove his choice of serving the rest of his contract if he so wishes to do? Interesting developments there.
All right, there are other stories in the paper, the New Crusading Guide newspaper you can check out.
Okay, Business and Financial Times has a few good ones. Small pelagic fish near total depletion. Now, I always get quite interested in stories about fishery, perhaps because I grew up, in a home run by a marine biologist. But these sort of developments have massive implications, not just for fishing, but for the ecosystem of our coasts. And so I'm hoping that we're paying attention to it. Second Shippers Award comes off tomorrow. GNPC to publish public disclosure framework. That should be good for transparency. But the big headline, use moral suasion to bring down interest rates, according to Professor Dodunu. And the first time I heard this argument, it was actually Dr. Charles Mensah of the IEA who made the point that, look, the policy rate keeps being reduced significantly by the Bank of Ghana. But the commercial banks keep their rates high, between 28 and 31%. It is really not encouraging business. And so the suggestion is that the central bank should start using moral suasion, which is, just employing moral ways, ways of appealing to the morality of business for banks to reduce the rates. And there are some very solid ways of doing that if you do it properly. And it's the one thing the Bank of Ghana has not yet done. And I wonder why. I really want to see that rate coming down so that businesses can actually feel like, the system is working in their favor.
We wait to see. Let's do the Daily Dispatch newspaper, and we have to do this rather very quickly because we want to bring you some of your messages and go online as well. Kweku Bako advises Kwesi Nyantechi, your advisors are doing you a lot of harm. Focus on Ghana's Third Republic, and there's some health benefits of prekese in today's edition of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. The Business Finder, mobile banking transactions jumped by 320.1% in 2017, according to the Bank of Ghana, and common external tariffs hike duties by 100%. That's according to Guta. There's a lot more in the Business Finder newspaper of today. Some of your messages. And Felix is in Kumasi, waiting for me to read the message so he can go to work. So Felix, here we are. Felix is disappointed, first of all, that we're not showing a single match in the ongoing World Cup matches. And he's also disappointed that we're not showing live the science and maths quiz. And you say I should read it before you go to work, so I have. But this is it. Television, I'm sorry to say we don't have the rights to show the World Cup matches, but we are doing live commentary. And I think for you, you'd even need a live commentary on radio better because you're going to work. So we do the live commentaries on Joy FM. And you can have the option of listening to us or at Dome FM as well. And the science and maths with the 1/8 contest, like where we are now, we are actually showing, not in real time, but we're not too late. So you can catch every day, what we bring to you with the National Science and Maths Quiz. And you can also get updated with our social media handles. Because we bring you real-time results on Facebook as well and on Twitter. I hope I've done a good job. Felix in Kumasi. This one says, good morning. I'm still angry about the deaths due to the heavy rains in Accra. It's a shame we cannot, as a country, solve this problem year after year. I'm ashamed of my country. Oh, this from Dr. Akaba Salasi. A lot of us really are ashamed. We can't believe what's happening. Yesterday, as the fake alerts was going around, people were asking us to say prayers, and we are having to watch over ourselves. But some of the problems, so for instance, my visit to Medina, if you look at some of the challenges, if you look at some of the things that we have to solve, it's bigger than our individual selves. So there's a big drain, there's a drain that hasn't been desilted for 8 years. Trees are growing in them. I saw a pawpaw tree. I mean, that's beyond me, the individual who lives in Medina, for instance. So there are some things that, authorities will have to take on.
I mean, it is still a chicken and egg argument, which should come first? Should the people change their attitudes first before the government then steps in? Or should the government enforce the law so that people change their attitudes?
Enforce the law?
For me, it's as simple as that. The only reason why people are doing these things, throwing rubbish into the gutters and all that, is because they can get away with it.
Yeah.
People will do whatever they can get away with. And so, really, that should come first. The law should be enforced.
Yeah.
You should provide facilities for the disposal of waste, not just disposal of waste, but for sewage, drainage. And then you can expect people to do the right thing.
I agree. A tree fell, two actually huge trees fell on a school building in Medina.
Wow.
And I think that the only good thing was that it happened overnight. And so otherwise it would have been a different story. Because this was a building occupied by students. And then a baby also died. A baby also died in Medina.
Washed away in the gutter.
Yeah.
Tragic. Tragic.
So, one person was passing the baby on, and the other person receiving the baby tripped. And then, the baby got washed away. The person also got injured in the process. All happened in Medina. We record different things, except that how many of these stories would even reach us?
Indeed.
Yeah.
And there's a picture somewhere on social media of the Interior Minister, I believe it is, in a helicopter with some security officials observing
Really?
the effect of...
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Looking out of the helicopter window, observing. Yeah.
Okay. This is where I say no comment. Let's do myjoyonline.com real quick.
Sure.
On myjoyonline.com, these are some of the stories you find there today. Ghana risks U.S. visa restrictions for non-compliance of ICAO obligations. So there was a statement that was released, the Ghana embassy, essentially saying that when they are in the process of deporting people, when they say people are illegal in their country, there is either a convention or something that we signed on which says that they don't have to really charter flights and put all of them on and bring them to Ghana. Our embassy in Washington is obligated to take these people and put them on commercial flights, like ordinary passengers, and bring them to Ghana. But I tell you what, we've reached that the people don't tire. They issue statements.
I don't know if you heard the response of the Ghanaian ambassador to the United States, who said that, look, the reason why I can't just go ahead and approve these things is because I can't independently verify that these individuals you're deporting have had a fair trial, have been through the system, and have been properly represented, after which it has been determined that
have they ever followed up? Have they debated? Because they are there with them. They would know. Have they been following the processes? When they arrest someone and say the person is illegal in their country, do they follow up? But how helpful is the embassy? Are they involved?
That's the point. Are they aware?
Yeah.
When people get arrested and detained for immigration offences, is the Ghanaian embassy informed? Is the Ghanaian embassy aware when people are in court being tried?
They should be.
Yes, somebody should tell them.
They should be.
But does that happen?
They should be. I will not be surprised if they are told and they still do nothing about it.
I would not be surprised if they never hear of it. The way the American system treats immigrants.
I think then our officials owe that to us. They should make themselves available so we can ask these questions and get all the sides.
Well, Elton John Brobe spoke to the Ghanaian ambassador to America. That's how come I know that he said these things. I'm sure at some point we'll be sharing that
because otherwise I will be forced to go with what the Americans are saying, because they've been bold enough to issue a statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I know how the United States treats immigrants, and so I'm not in a hurry to accept that all of these individuals have actually been treated, have actually been put through a fair trial, and until I see the evidence of
because I know
they
that
may have, but I'd like to see some evidence. I don't want to just take their word for it.
Per international relations and agreements and international law, if anything happened to any of us, if we're in somebody's on somebody's land and anything happened, they have an obligation to inform our people wherever.
Tell that to the people in Guantanamo Bay.
That's another story. So this is the statement on immigration law and international agreements. See, they are kind of teaching us and they're telling us why they're forced to put people on the plane. So they've essentially, this statement is also saying that if you don't begin to carry out your obligations, we will be forced to tighten our visa laws. And I wonder what that means. I like that threat. Like, I don't know how that is helping in the matters. I don't know how that clarifies anything.
But there's something important that you said, and I'm now seeing the wording that the American embassy used to describe this, and it's very significant. It says that under the International Civil Aviation Convention that they signed, the government of Ghana, through its embassy in Washington, D.C., and its consulate general in New York, has an obligation to interview deportees on a regular basis and issue the necessary travel documents. So that the idea is that you are informed that these deportees are here. Your obligation is come and interview them. Okay? So if the Ghanaian ambassador now says, well, actually, I can't confirm independently that they went through a fair trial, does that mean that he has interviewed them and they are telling him that they didn't?
He hasn't been interested.
That's an assumption.
Yeah,
that's an assumption.
I agree. But but the question
that's what I make of it. Yeah, the question we must ask is, has he actually interviewed them?
So that's why I said they should make themselves available so we can put some of these questions. Until then, I will go with a statement. I still stick by that. I'll go with a statement because we should also come out boldly and respond to the statement. That's all I'm saying.
There you go then.
Yeah. All right, let's do a few of your messages and then we will share with you how Donald Trump, the American president, has suddenly made a U-turn with his tight immigration laws, the one that separated children from parents. Well, we'll tell you what he's been doing differently now. But this one says, earlier this morning, Shamdeen and Tamale sharing with us that earlier this morning there were some showers in the country. Some parts of Tamale, some adjective used by politicians should be stopped. Okay, still in relation with the rains, Shamdeen and Tamale, not sure. Somebody's making my head big. This person says, Ghanaians, including many of our leaders, are not serious. You dump refuse carelessly, and when it consumes people, we're shedding crocodile tears. Our leaders fail to apply the laws. Chiefs beg for offenders to be free. Politicians free guilty people, etc. Worse things coming if we don't change. Ibrahim in Tamale. Ibrahim, thank you for message, and thank you for the nice things that you say to me personally. Yeah. Husnu from Atebubu says, when are you telecasting the national science and maths quiz? Right after the AM show at 9, we'll bring you the national science maths quiz. This person said, oh, I'm reading your message now. It says, government needs austerity measures to stop flooding in Accra, demolish unnecessary structures, and also take steps to create structures that will help. Wunzuya in Tamale sending this message. This person says, please tell Kojo that Nanado is incorruptible, unlike former President Mahama, who superintended corruption in the highest order during his time as president. Okay. Gascony in Kumasi, I have passed on your message. This person said, why is it that, oh no, I think I missed it. Maybe 2 messages. You show the match on TV, only online and radio. Alhaji Bello in why in the Upper West region. Well, I gave some explanation as to why we're not showing the World Cup matches. This person says, former President John Mahama, incorruptible saga is indeed the biggest joke ever in the history of Ghana. Zion in one. That's where I'll end it. Okay, so let's bring you, before we introduce Benedict, who's got an update in sport for us. We're talking the World Cup. Let's bring you Donald Trump and U-turn or not that he's made with his immigration laws.
I consider it to be a very important executive order. It's about keeping families together while at the same time being sure that we have a very powerful, very strong border, and border security will be equal, if not greater, than previously. So we're going to have strong, very strong borders, but we're going to keep the families together. I didn't like the sight or the feeling of families being separated. There's a problem that's gone on for many years, as you know, through many administrations, and we're working very hard on immigration. It's been just left out in the cold. People haven't dealt with it, and we are dealing with it. So step by step, just like we dealt with North Korea, we dealt with Iran, we dealt with an economy that was heading in the wrong direction, we dealt with a lot of different problems. This is one that has been gone on for many decades. So we're keeping families together, and this will solve that problem. At the same time, we are keeping a very powerful border, and it continues to be a zero tolerance. We have zero tolerance for people that enter our country illegally. With that, I'd ask Mike Pence, Vice President, if he'd like to say anything.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And I think what the President...
Okay, so Donald Trump there making a U-turn. Of course, this generated some public fury, and so he's kind of turned around, bowed to public pressure, and signed an executive order promising to keep families together in migrant detentions. He says he will build his wall. I will keep the migrants away.
Yeah.
Charlie, let's stay in our countries. But you see, yesterday when we were going around, I was like, Charlie, this is the reason why some people really want to get out of our country.
If you have to live next to a gutter into which people defecate openly, and that gutter happens to be the same place where your food is cooked, yes, I can imagine how the appeal of another country where things work can be very strong.
Yeah.
But I think you have to ask yourself, if you're swapping A for B, the cost that you're willing to incur in that swap, is it worth it? Yes, you want something better than what you have, but that better thing, is it worth what you're willing to put yourself
If you
through
want to
again?
think about some of our challenges, like you can keep going and going and going. You speak to the Dental Council. You're thinking, if there's an emergency situation, like where am I going to be taken? Would they say no bed? Would I be returned? I mean, if, like, there's so many things. I mean, we want to be passionate about our country, but there's so many things that we have to correct.
Indeed. And it concerns me that a lot of these things are solvable, not necessarily with piles of money, but with just a little bit of discipline and less compromise, you know. And when I say compromise, compromising your own spirit, you know, with corruption. Less corruption, a little more discipline, and then a lot of our problems can be solved.
True.
Rwanda.
True.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Rwanda.
Let's say good morning to a man who's gone to places on this continent. He sees things differently from elsewhere, but he still comes back to Ghana. Benedict.
Mavi, it's
morning,
because
morning.
of the love I have for you. That's why.
Aww.
Yeah. So the day that love ceases, I won't come back.
Really?
But no, you know, I love you so much. So I'll never leave you in this country. If you are going, I'm going with you.
Oh.
Oh, what do you say to that?
I feel like I should leave you two alone.
Oh, could you? Oh, this is no secret.
Am I interfering?
Mama V, yeah, I've always confessed my
You're
love
a
for
third
Mama V,
party.
yeah. I really admire Mama V, and I really love her so
You know,
much.
I like the sofa, so you two get a room.
Benedict, what's happening apart from me?
Well, apart from you, we're talking about the World Cup, yesterday's matches, and also we'll preview today's matches. Lionel Messi will be in action. Hopefully, they will get a win when they come up against Croatia. Then yesterday, Cristiano Ronaldo scored another goal, his fourth in this year's World Cup. We'll see that goal as well.
Okay, that's and more coming up on sports. Stay with us.